Hello and welcome to the TES Secondary Maths Resource of the Week number 115 with me, Craig Barton. Now, I don't know if it's the same with you, but my students really are not massive fans of bearings. And I always find that a bit weird because they quite like angles, they don't mind angles too much, but there's something about bearings, even though it's just an angle with a few kind of extra rules, measuring from north, going clockwise and so on, they really don't like it. And I've even got kids saying, "Sir, do you mind if I just leave out the bearings question in this exam?" And I'm going, no, because it's doable. It's absolutely fine, bearings. But there's just something weird about them that the students tend to struggle. So I'm always on the lookout for resources that tackle bearings in a slightly different way, or just get students to consolidate the key skills of bearings. Now, for me, there's two things kids need to be good at with bearings, and that's the kind of angle facts style questions, combining them with parallel lines and all that kind of stuff. But then there's the often neglected construction and actual measuring of bearings, and that often gets overlooked in angles in general in my experience. But this is an excellent resource for tackling that head on in a really engaging but also simple way. So it's a resource that's been uploaded by the Royal Observatory Greenwich, and it's called SatNav, and all it consists of is a single PDF. So if you download it, it looks like this. And the first thing that's hooked me in about this PDF is it's real impressive and comprehensive teacher notes. So it just tells you some suggested questions to ask before the activity, but also, thankfully for me, who's no scientist, it has some nice answers as well. Again, more questions to ask the kids after the activity and so on. And then the activity itself is so simple. Here are the answers. So Leo, Boots, never heard of that constellation. Orion, I've heard of him, there he is. Canis Major, yep, I've heard of him. And this is what the activity looks like. So students essentially have to construct those constellations, but all they get to construct them are these instructions. So start at star 1, and all they need for this is literally a blank piece of A4 paper, an angle measurer and a ruler. So put a dot where star 1 is, and then go a bearing of 269 degrees, and it helpfully tells them that that's roughly southwest, and travel 3.6 kilometers. You've arrived at star 2, so they put a dot at star 2. And then they start at star 2, they're going to need to measure north, and then go on a bearing of 32 degrees northeast and travel 4.5 centimeters, and you've arrived at star 3. And they follow that round, and it's essentially like a dot to dot, but a bearing style dot to dot. And when they've completed it, they'll end up, fingers crossed, with something like that. Now, there are a few things I really like about this, and one adaptation that I'd suggest. The first thing is that I really like it's so simple. The second thing is it's quite an engaging context for the kids, and even the kids who aren't well into the stars will appreciate the fact that it's just a little bit different and the kind of patterns that they're forming. I like the fact that it tends to get progressively harder. I mean, Orion's quite a tricky one to construct. The kids are going to need to be pretty accurate when it comes to that bit. But my adaptation that I'd suggest is for the first one, I like it exactly as it is for Constellation 1, but by the time you get to Constellation 2 and Constellation 3, I'd be tempted to copy this into a Word document and just delete the south, east, northeast, northwest, and so on, because for me that gives them a little bit too much of a guide that perhaps they don't need when they're getting through to the more difficult ones, and they're certainly not going to get that extra help when it comes to an exam. So as I say, I have no problem with it at all to give them that extra bit of scaffolding for the first constellation, but I'd be tempted just to remove these bits in brackets. So as I say, copy the text into a Word document, delete that and reprint it, and it'll just check that the students really have that depth of understanding. And then of course use a classic extension where you can get your kids to construct their own, and it doesn't have to be a constellation, it can be a pattern of anything, it can be their name, whatever they want, but devising their own series of instructions just to really check that their understanding and competency with bearings is secure. But I really like that, such a simple resource, but it hooked me in, and I'm looking forward to trying that out with my students to really kind of cement their understanding of constructions and measurings with bearings. So hope that was useful, and I shall return with a fresh resource of the week next week. Take care, and bye for now.